Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
Through the dragon's eyes.
Sniper!
There's a
Widow.
You want me to go 1v1 him?
Mm-hmm.
Got her.
What's going on, everybody? It's Duran here from Sunrise Gaming, coming back to you with another character analysis video. This week we're going to be talking about the famous Junkrat, the Australian criminal who shoots bombs and traps and all kinds of stuff. He is a defense hero, and he's seen his days. There are things as Junkrat mains, not as bad as a Hanzo main though. So he's definitely a interesting character. So let's go ahead and talk about him. Today I am joined by Lax. Lax, how are you doing today?
Doing great, man. Ready to talk about the crazy Australian.
The crazy Australian, that's right. Alright, so Junkrat is listed as a defense hero, like we said. His first ability is his left click. It's called the Frag Launcher, and he bounces an bouncing explosive projectile that goes forward and does quite a bit of damage. What do you think of that?
It's pretty good, considering, you know, how they wanted him to play out as a Junkrat. It makes sense. It's cool because if you hit a direct shot onto a squishy, it's pretty good amount of damage. I think it's like, what, 100, 120, 80, something like that?
If it's a critical on headshot, yes.
Yeah. And it's just, like, direct shots were really good, but even into just a choke and just having, because there's a little bit of splash damage, even that can be a good amount.
Mm-hmm. So it's definitely interesting. It's very known for its area denial, for sure.
Yeah. It only has five shots in it, which is interesting. It's kind of low, but I feel like if you were to increase it, it might be a little too much.
Right. So then let's talk about his left shift. Left shift is called Concussion Mine. You throw a knockback mine directly a little bit in front of you. You can, of course, it's a projectile, so you can aim it, much similar to Tracer's bomb. Then you detonate it with right click, so that is your right click ability as well. Fun fact about the concussive mine: first off, it does a lot of damage if you hit it. An enemy hits it, but it can also be used to propel Junkrat into the air, because he jumps off of it and explode it. He will jump really high into the air. What do you think of the concussive mine?
I think it's great. It's so much fun because you can just get to all kinds of places with junk, and it's just like, oh, an Australian's flying in the air now. It's fun. The only thing about it is that it's not really one of those. It's a trap. It's a mine, but you don't see Junkrats a lot of time place it. You see them actually toss it at somebody and then explode it midair right in front of somebody.
Yeah, for the damage.
That does a lot of damage, especially if you're stuck in like a 1v1 scenario or something.
Right.
And then of course people will place a trap down, which we'll talk about in a second, and then place a concussion mine on that, and they get trapped and they die. It's a little combo, but I think it's best used when you toss it at somebody, which is what you see a lot, especially if there's like a group.
Mm-hmm. It's good. It does its job. Junkrat is, as we mentioned before, as being a defense hero, he is known for his area denial skills. So Concussive Mine is a big AoE that he throws alongside his frag launcher. Moving on to his E ability. His E ability is quite unique. It is called the Steel Trap, and it's an immobilizing trap. So if you step in it, you take damage and you're stuck. And you can't go anywhere, you can't do anything. You can destroy it. Oh, we should also mention that the traps, the bomb, the mine, and the trap can both be destroyed if you step on them before stepping on them.
Diva can eat the concussion mine as well.
And Diva eats projectiles, so she can eat that as well. So it just places a mobilizing trap, does a little damage, puts the person in place. They can't go anywhere, and they're very susceptible to getting smacked and killed. I think it's a good skill. I think it's useful. Can definitely, if you see a Reinhardt charging at you, drop this little baby in front of you, and you're good. You know, it's good to just trap people and then shell them down really quickly.
Yeah, it's really good if you're like trying to hold a point. So like if you've just taken a point, or if you're on the defending team and you know that they're going to come through one little area, because it doesn't prop up like on top of the ground. It's kind of like hidden. You can still see it when you're on the enemy team, but because it's kind of hidden, a lot of times people won't even think about it and they'll just walk right into it, especially if they don't know you have a jump. So putting that to where somewhere you think, especially like a flanker, like if you think a tracer is going to come by and try to like harass your backline, just put a trap down and see if you can trap them there. Because Tracer's all about mobility, but if you can trap her, she's essentially dead because it takes like one or two hits from your normal gun to actually kill her if she's trapped.
Hmm. Yeah, it's very good to slow down these mobile heroes, and he's a great defensive hero. He can hold a point by himself with launching himself into the air, throwing the trap down, and shelling them from above. He's really good at that kind of stuff. So he has this passive ability, and this is kind of we want to talk about it for a second here. It's very interesting. It's called Total Mayhem. Deals no damage to self with explosives. So a long time ago, Junkrat could kill himself with his own bombs, and people loved that for some reason. But then they got rid of it because nobody would play Junkrat. Because if people would like run into him and he was shooting bombs at them, if they hit the enemy, it would also damage Junkrat if he was too close. Yeah, so they changed that. So he doesn't take damage from his own explosives anymore. And then the other part of Total Mayhem that hasn't changed is when he dies. When Junkrat is killed, he drops 5 little grenades, right underneath his body. And if people forget that, it can kill tanks, right? It does enough damage to kill tanks.
I think so. Except for maybe like a diva, but...
Yeah, it has 600 health hero, it's not going to kill. But a lower health
how much it does,
tank...
But...
A lower health tank, for sure, can...
It's just hilarious.
It's just funny because...
No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, it's just funny because people try to, like... once they kill you, they're like, like jump on your corpse or whatnot. He's basically the anti-teabag with this ability.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
That kills them. It's very funny to watch because it shows up in the kill screen and the kill feed that they were killed by Total Mayhem. So it's like, oh, how embarrassing,
Yeah. Because like, especially like if a Genji just like 1v1, you dash through and now he's walking back. Boom, dead. It's funny. Well, it's actually kind of good for him because as a defensive character, it just helps him hold a point. I mean, it's a very slight help, but if you die and then you still have something there when you're dead, like that helps. So it's very interesting and it's pretty funny as well.
I like it. It's definitely interesting. So it's got all these abilities that are area denial and whatnot. Good at holding down a point, controlling a choke. That's what defense heroes shine at, and Junkrat does it very well. Junkrat has one last ability, his ultimate, of course. It is called the Rip Tire. He carries it on his back, and once he gets his ultimate ready, he primes it up and launches it forward. And you, the player, takes control of the Rip Tire. It can scale walls, it can jump, it can do all kinds of things. And when it detonates, it kills everything that's not a tank.
I think pretty much everything, yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting because it only has a little bit of health. It does not have much, so it can be destroyed.
Yeah.
So this is where a lot of people have problems with Junkrat, is because though he does all this great damage and area denial and stuff like that, his ultimate is useless against skilled opponents. Why? Yeah. They hear it because when he launches the tire, it sounds like this. And then the tire goes off. It does a lot of damage. You may not have heard that, but I'm recording in the training area. It does a lot of damage, and it kills a lot of things, but it is susceptible to being destroyed.
Yeah, of course, Diva can eat some ultimates, but like that requires them to be in the right position. But this, because you have to bring the Rip Tire to somebody for them to die, for it to even do damage. So just being able to shoot it down is really... I understand why they did it, because it'd be absolutely overpowered if you couldn't shoot it down.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just one of those ultimates that it's just not very good against skilled players. Obviously, you can find highlight reels of Junkrat's getting like quad or pentakills, and it's like, oh, this is crazy. But generally, the team wasn't paying attention, or there were like if you combo with the Zarya ult, that's pretty good.
Yes.
Somebody could still shoot it out of the Zarya ult, but
soldiers. Anybody, soldier, any like sniper character can take it out. Widows and Hanzos are known to take them out very well. So
yeah, But the thing though that I've seen, because you don't see it in the competitive scene a lot, but when you do, you don't see them trying to go for 3 or 4 kills. You see them go for 1 or 2. Maybe they're support characters, especially if it's a mercy that's a res. So much like we've seen with other ultimates, even just getting 1 or 2 kills can swing a fight. So that's probably where it's best used.
Yeah, for sure. So let's move on. Let's talk about Junkrat in of himself. He is currently not in the meta, but he's a very anti-dive character. Why don't we see him?
It's just his projectile is unlike Pharah's. It's unlike other projectiles in the game. It does have a pretty significant curve when you shoot it. You know, Hanzo and Pharah go straight, but his actually curves. So being able to aim it at somebody that's coming in is hard. His immobilization, his steel trap, it's good, but it's it's one little spot on an area that could be huge. So it's kind of hard to, okay, I know exactly where they're going to come from. I'm going to put my trap right here. And, good enough players are going to be able to notice a trap. We all run into Junkrat traps, we know. But, good enough players usually can identify it. So the fact that they're also able to be destroyed is hard. You look at his kit and you think, yeah, this is definitely anti-dive. But, like we said, with his ultimate can be shot down. Dive tends to play spread out anyway, so it'd be hard to get a kill. His gun is just such a hard curve. I think his skill potential is really, really high. So like you can take him, not really, really high, but high enough to where you can take him to a next level. But currently, with so many people, with just his gun being so hard to master, other characters being really good, and the meta being so mobile, he struggles a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Do you see him maybe being changed in the future to address that issue, or no?
I don't think. See, here's the thing. Junk is the guy that we all laugh at and we have fun with. So I don't think anybody's going to be super upset if they don't do anything to him. If they do change him, it's going to have to be very slight, because I think he's one of those characters that you can really overpower. Especially with his ultimate, because it does do so much damage. If you just make it a little bit more survivable, it can really clean house. I mean, heck, we've seen it in Apex. I think it was X6 that brought it out on attack too, which is interesting. It's mainly just because that streets phase of El Dorado is just so tight that his area denial, like we said, is just really good. He's definitely one of those characters that's very map specific. If you take King of the Hill, you're going to have a hard time because they're generally more open points. He likes to be kind of in a narrow scenario where his frag